eyeglasses
Good
glaring.
evening, everyone. Tonight is May 1st, and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. I am Jenny Lee, and tonight I have with me Miss Dina.
Hi, guys.
And Miss Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
So we are finally having a lovely spring. So nice that we finally are.
Beautiful today.
And what did we get to do on this lovely spring day today?
Run around like chickens, literally.
Oh, yes, we did. And I know that both of you tuned in to, I went to the town board meeting this evening, and I know that both of you were able to somewhat tune in on the live feed. Dana, I know that you wanted to say kudos to the town for that option.
Yes, I was very pleased because I wasn't able to physically be there today, but I did manage to watch the entire meeting live. So that was good. That is one thing that the New Direction has done that is awesome, because even though I can't make it down there, I was able to see everything in real time and see people's responses and things like that. I appreciate things like that.
And just like our show, if you're ever unable to get there at that exact moment, you can go back to the town's website and review that day's town board meeting. And today's was 2.5 hours long. So we brought you a few clips with some highlights of tonight's town board meeting. And we're going to go and bring you the first one.
Jim Jenkins, followed by Pat Marciello.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, something was going on in the back of the room. It was really weird, but then...
Hello, my name is Jim Jenkins, and I live in South Huntington. As I've told a few of you at a prior meeting, I direct TV commercials for a living. Done a lot of Super Bowl spots. I've directed all the Dilly Dilly commercials for Bud Light. I've also shot many celebrities, spokespeople, Steve Buscemi, Robert De Niro, a lot of athletes, Peyton Manning, Russell Westbrook, Tom Brady, very good looking. Fortunately, I've also shot a couple of celebrities whose endorsements later backfired because of something that came out about them later. I'm telling you all this to point out the dangers of hiring the wrong people to speak for your brand. You can just ask E-Trade about Kevin Spacey. Endorsements are tricky, especially when it turns out the endorser does not have the credibility that you hired him for. It can make your brand look really bad. So speaking of endorsers without credibility, I'd like to talk to you about our own town's version of that, certain civic groups who have endorsed Villadom, and how their hollow endorsements actually reflect on that project. The overwhelming majority of people all over Huntington I've spoken to, including my business partner who lives in Elwood, all his neighbors, are absolutely against Villadom, and angrily so. So who exactly is for this project? The developer has 6 glowing quotes from civics on his website, the Villadom website. Look closely, 6 of those quotes are from 3 people. So in fact, half of those quotes are from one guy. So I just have a question. Who, these self-anointed leaders who pretend they speak for their membership but don't, or basically puff up themselves to look big but pretty much have no membership, well, both are just speaking for themselves. And now these are the people who allegedly had almost 30 meetings with the developer claiming they spoke for the people of Elwood. I always thought that developers are the ones who are supposed to mislead citizens, not the other way around. One of the loudest civics that's spoken out in favor of Villadom isn't a civic at all. It's a registered for-profit corporation, so there's no transparency to know what's really going on there. The whole thing stinks, honestly. But since some fake civic groups apparently have such sway, I've decided to anoint myself as leader of my own fake civic. So, I was thinking of calling it Citizens Who Think Jericho Turnpike already has way too much traffic, or citizens who don't want their water ruined just so a developer can profit. But there's so much wrong with Villadom, I've decided to just go with citizens of Huntington who don't want Huntington to suck. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
He was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, he was totally awesome. And then, like dilly dilly.
While he was saying that,
I really
I
like
was
the name
fun-
of his fake civics there. Those were good. Those were
Those
really
were
good.
awesome. So creative. He's obviously a very creative mind.
I'm I have so much to say that
Well, our mouths are open, like
yeah, because I'm trying
oh
to
my
get
God.
it together. I don't want to, but okay. So the first thing is when everyone kept talking about go on the Villadom website. I'll be honest with you, I never went on it prior because I just never had a need to. I felt as though the community gave me enough information to know that I didn't want it. But then when he mentioned it, let me just tell you, and then he said it was like 2 specific people. So I wondered who the people were. So here it is. James Cameron, president of the Taxpayers Association. James Cameron, president of the Taxpayers Association. Robert W. Rockline, Huntington Matters, Inc. Heather Ross, Elwood resident. James Cameron, president of Taxpayers Association. And Robert W. Rockline, Huntington Matters, Inc.
That's interesting because Jim Cameron is not the president. He has a different position now. Heather Ross is the other name that you just named. Heather Ross is the current president of the.
She is labeled Heather Ross Elwood resident. That's what hers says. And this one here says James Cameron, president of the Taxpayers Association.
You have to admire the shell game.
It really is a game. Does anybody really know what the hell's going on? Because
no,
I'm confused. Doesn't take much. This
and then it doesn't help that if you go on, this really looks bad though. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Just like looking at it, I really feel bad for the people involved because obviously somebody didn't do their homework. It says the letter of support, Huntington Matters Inc. comes up.
Wait, you're looking at it right now because they said that. Oh wait, okay. Well, later
I'm looking at it right now.
One where they said that they withdrew their support today after I gave my speech, but it's still there as of right now, right?
Right now, and it says June Margolin is the president. Margolin is the president. Xavier Palacio is the vice president. Robert Rockline is the secretary. Matt Harris, Mary Beth Kersey,
Crace,
and Laura Palacio are directors. The letter is dated June 19th, 2016. And it says, and it's signed, sincerely, Robert W. Rockline, Secretary, Huntington Matters, Inc. That's one letter of support. And then Elwood Taxpayers gave their letter of support, and it is signed, respectfully, James F. Cameron, president. And on here it says CC Joanne Rhea, town clerk, 100 Main Street, Huntington, New York.
And it's on official looking letterhead.
They're both on official letterhead.
Yep.
They're both on each organizations or whatever they're representing's letterhead. Yes.
Okay. So, all right. Let's go to this next young lady.
Oh, Jesus, this is crazy.
It is crazy. By the way, that's what we call it, Mary Beth. We call it crazy.
Oh my God.
I just hope you can make the right choice for all of us.
Just crazy.
There's no crisis.
Tracy Kleinberg, followed by Jeff Bartels.
Okay, I'm crazy too. She's awesome though. Listen to her.
Hi, I'm Tracy Kleinberg, and I'm a Dix Hills resident on Majestic Drive. As I've already informed you via email and in person, a lot of you, I'm opposed to the Villadom Mall. I've explained my reasons in letters to you, and I'll be back to explain further at the hearing. But today, I want to make a complaint to you about something that I've learned has been happening in our town in what seems like an unregulated manner. On April 18th, I attended a meeting about the Villadom Mall at the Green Lawn Moose Lodge, hosted by the Greater Huntington Civic Group and Elwood Taxpayers Association. And I was taken aback when a man I had never seen or heard of before opened the meeting by informing us that he had met with this Villadom developer either 23 or 28 other times to encourage him to bring his mall to our town. When questioned as to why no one knew about these meetings, he said they were his civic association meetings and that they were open to the public and it was our fault for not showing up. Yet I never heard of any of these meetings, nor had I ever heard of the Civic Association. I live in Dix Hills and I'm part of the Half Hollow Hills School District. All the main roads affected by this mall are in my town and in my school district. Yet this man did not make any attempt to inform us of his meetings, either through Board of Ed, PTA Council, even our Half Hollow Hills Facebook pages. I'm very actively involved in all those things, and I would have been aware of it. This man is not an elected official of the town of Huntington and should not be acting as such. Civic associations like the one he purports to represent are not extended branches of our government and should not be treated that way by our elected officials. On his 23rd meeting, this man finally got a crowd of 200 people to attend, and they pretty much all told him they don't want this mall. If he was truly representing the best interests of the community, as he says he was, then at that point, he should have been going back to the developer and to you and stating that he made a mistake. The community is actually not in favor of this project. It was a misunderstanding and he was wrong, take it off the table. However, I don't believe he has done that. I've also come to find another group, Huntington Matters Incorporated, wrote a letter to you in 2016 claiming to be a civic association with 4,500 members who are all in favor of this mall. This is dishonest. The 4,500 members referred to in that letter are actually people who liked or were added to the Huntington Matters Facebook page. Huntington Matters has now made a public statement admitting to this and stating that they only, in fact, have 7 actual members. Please let these 2 stories be cautionary tales to you about how you should not, under any circumstances, be taking the word of so-called civic leaders that they are representing anyone other than themselves. I see on today's agenda you've received about 70 letters opposing this mall and 2 supporting it. Please listen to the people here and out there telling you how the community really feels about this mall. We don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just hope you can make the right choice for all of us.
I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry. Am I still sharing? Okay, I'm back. Okay.
Another one who hit the nail on the head. That was awesome.
Yeah. She was
Everything
great.
she said. Every word. Only 7 members.
Right. It's remarkable how they pull off this illusion. Because that's really what it is. It's an illusion of sorts.
What I can say for Huntington Matters, at least they had the decency to say that's not what it was. This is what it really is, and present themselves and say, I'm sorry, it was a miscommunication. You can only, we all do things sometimes that we have to retract or whatever the case may be. So you can only respect them for at least having the decency of actually acknowledging and then coming out and
they
saying.
Never acknowledged the 4,500. They never corrected it. They never withdrew it. So
would they have ever said that?
No, they didn't.
It wasn't brought to
I
light.
read the War and Peace announcement, and they never addressed them using their Facebook membership as membership for their civic organization. They never addressed that.
I thought
if it wasn't brought to light, then they would never have said sorry.
That's true as well. And you just said the letters of support are still on the developer's website.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
I for me, I don't really, I'm more concerned with the letter of support that was there because that's putting on an official document. And as the secretary of an organization, I don't know how Huntington Matters Incorporated did theirs, but I know for the NAACP, I was elected. I had to actually run. I had to actually do things to get on there. I didn't just get, a position and they say, okay, bye. Now, 9 times out of 10, if an organization has a secretary, that person is usually the heart and soul of that particular organization. So you usually won't question what a secretary puts out because they usually have all the information because everybody has to report to them. So if Rob Rockline was the secretary, that's kind of even more in throwing egg on people's face because now it makes me question the whole entire organization because if your secretary is giving false information.
So now initially I was appointed, self-appointed like anybody else. What you do is you volunteer. That's how there has to be a beginning to the civic organization. So initially, just like with the PTA, you volunteer. in very rare cases, especially in the PTA, will you ever be challenged. In fact, they have a hard time filling these spots. Right. But you have to make it public that you are doing this. And then once you are, I won't say elected, because you have to have somebody running against you to be elected. But it's still an open meeting that you have within your organization, and then you become sworn in. Mm-hmm. And most of us know this. A lot of us do have that PTA basic experiences to understanding what happens when somebody isn't vying for the job. There's still a protocol that's followed.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't look good whether you're a civic, because now you basically lied for the people. And it doesn't look good as a corporation because your secretary now is giving out falsified information. The other civic group, whatever that one is, I just don't understand. And where is Stephen?
He wasn't even at the meeting tonight, which I found very interesting, because as a self-proclaimed civic leader, you would be at every meeting. I know we are, because we're covering them now, and I do take note as to who's in the room.
I just think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. I think it's amazing. And one thing for me is, if we are in an organization together, right, and we wholeheartedly believe in something, I'm not going to abandon ship when it gets rocky, you know, because for me, that tells me who's really behind me and who's really into this for the right reasons. When you start jumping ship when the seas get rough, that lets me know, we're using this for political gain. Well, was this a stepping stone? It raises so many questions. And then when you don't do anything to correct yourself after you've been publicly notified, you know, the whole world knows now, basically, that you gave out false information and you do no damage control. That says a lot for you and your character and whomever supports you, elected officials included. So when you have
silent,
like
he's been silent after that embarrassing meeting.
So
I haven't seen or heard anything.
Well, not just Stephen, but also I'm going to go ahead and set up our next video to a certain extent. Xavier, who I incorrectly labeled as the president this evening, he's the vice president, although that wasn't corrected by the person who spoke after me. So he's still part of the organization. He was honored early on in actually the debate team for Huntington High School was honored. And I got to say, you know, congratulations to them. That was awesome for them. Joan Sergel incorrectly, though, labeled that Xavier had started it. Somebody else had started it, and Xavier was given a separate award. And with that, she went through and she had said he did this. He was on the school board. He was on. He started the Huntington Station Latin Quarter, and all these other great things that he's done. And she omitted Huntington Matters. So I had come with a prepared speech, which is the next video I'm going to give you. And after I heard and saw what happened and knew what I was about to deliver, I needed to make sure that I exclamation point at the end what Joan had left off. Now, this video is going to be a little bit longer because after I speak, Matt Harris speaks. And what he says is actually very important in regards to the New York Avenue Renaissance Source the Station. And I want to make sure that we have that on our feed for the future. And I really want you guys to see the thing in its entirety, as well as hear Mr. Cook's response at the end, okay? Mm-hmm. So this one's at 7 minutes. Oh,
thank you, Mr. Fritz.
Hold on. Because you know what? I forgot to share my screen. Sharing is caring, Jenny Lee. Okay. Okay, I'm right here. Sorry.
Got lost with too many screens. By Matt Harris.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Lupinacci and our town board trustees. My name is Jennifer Lavertio, and I am the founder of the Greater Huntington Civic Group. I am also the founder of Huntington Matters prior to its decline into a corporation with 7 unelected, self-appointed executive board members. I am a first-hand witness of the formation of these entities and have observed one group took the road of ultimate self-destruction into corruption, absolute power, and preying on the trust of the community. When one hears the term civic organization, we draw an image in our head of a grassroots group for and by the people. We believe it to be honorable and adhering to its bylaws, holding open meetings where minutes are kept and with full transparency. We think it is a place where any member of the community can join and even run for a position on the board, offer praise and criticism, and to help guide the direction of its efforts for the good of the community at large. Several groups calling themselves civics fall short, very short. There are at least 3 local civics that are questionable and carry a loud megaphone. They not only are confusing or misrepresenting themselves to the people, but obviously to land developers and to you, our elected leaders. We have before us a crossroad for a controversial topic, and the members of the town board have been taken in by the smoke and mirrors illusion of membership based on Facebook group numbers. Some of the key players within these shadow power grabbers only come out for elections and are operating more like a PAC, a political action committee, than a civic organization in the classic sense. For example, Stephen Spouchis from the Greater Huntington Civic Group and United Civics of Huntington has not been elected to his position. They do not have open meetings and therefore don't have membership. Just an email list that I helped build many years ago when it was in startup mode. Another example of this group illusion is Huntington Matters, paperwork generated by very few with an official looking letterhead who's claimed to support some projects for well over 2 years. The claim is that they are a civic organization with 4,500 members, but in actuality, a Facebook following with unverified accounts is not a membership per se. One such project supported is the Villadome. At the last town board meeting, Robert Rockline from Huntington Matters said he was representing various civic groups for various reasons, vague and unsubstantiated. Because of these revelations, I am requesting the town board create a registration process for any civic organization and a validation process for representatives to speak on behalf of anyone besides themselves. To eliminate fraud, the registration process should include verifiable elements so as to separate the honorable civics from the counterfeits. I suggest that it includes at least their EIN from New York State, a membership total, with a list of total members, minutes where issues were on the agenda, voted for, and therefore authenticated. Their bylaws should be placed on file for public examination as well. We have an epidemic of fake civics parading around as real, when all it is someone wishing to assume power and control of the masses. This is the cannibalization of how real civics function and an insult to those who put the real work in, only to be overshadowed by ego-ridden people who have pulled off a great illusion. Thank you. And just one more thing. Ms. Servo, you gave an award up here to Xavier Palacios. He's the president of Huntington Matters. Thank you.
So
Thank you, Mr. Virtue.
He's vice president.
Mr. Harris, followed by Linda Tracy.
Her finger, 1 more minute.
I know. It's like, no.
Matt Harris, East Wilkes-Barre Huntington Station. Just for the record, June Morgullen is the president of Huntington Matters. I am also a founding member. I did not come here to speak to Villadome, and just to set the record straight, we have withdrawn Huntington Matters. The executive board has withdrawn our support for that project. What I'm here to speak about, unfortunately, is the Gateway Plaza project, which I did support. I supported it because I wanted to see revitalization of Huntington Station. The primary reason I supported it is because it had 33 studio apartments, something that this town desperately needs, and something there are very few of. They have now reconfigured the apartment complex into 10 studios and put in 2-bedroom apartments. I just looked on my phone, and there's actually something from them where they're explaining why they did this, which I find rather curious, because it says right here, why the change? The pre-approved square footage was redistributed into a new mix based on voice community requests, not for me, for 2 bedrooms, market research, and feedback from the Northridge realtors on what local residents are looking for. Well, here's the facts. If people are looking for 2-bedroom apartments, they can find plenty of them in Avalon Bay for the same price. We don't need 2-bedroom apartments. What we really don't need is more children. According to their own numbers, they're now saying from 0, they expect to get 7 children. With the IDA help, which I'm also opposed to, $137,000, 65.65% would be approximately $90,000 to the school district. At $28,000 per child, all they need is 4 kids, and it's a net loss. From a net gain, a tax positive, it's going to a net loss to the school district 3 community. I'm opposed to this 2-bedroom change, and more importantly, they go from 66 to possibly 88 people to at least 76 to 100 people. They just increased this project by 20 bodies. They have a parking variance. That parking variance is based on 66 people, not 76. I'm asking this town board to demand Renaissance go back to the ZBA, get a whole new parking variance, because now it's wrong. They're adding more people. Where they're going to put the cars? They want to use the parking lot across the street. They want to tear that up and put in artist lofts, something else I'm opposed to. Please look at this project again. Make sure they do the right thing. Get the ZBA to look at the parking variances. And by the way, I think with this IDA $2.6 million cut, I think it needs a forensic audit. Thank you, Harris.
Just want you to know, I was very upset when I heard that. I voted on that project for the studio apartments. And I'm going to ask right now the town attorney to please look into that and find out what's actually happening there. That to me is totally uncalled for and was not the deal that,
people out of the station have been lied to for 48 years. Developer after developer after developer lied to us, and now Renaissance is doing it.
Well, I'm going to do everything I can to change it and make sure that we do the right thing, because I know what I voted on, and it wasn't that.
ZBA needs to take a look at this guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
You can feel the passion there. So, do you know where this is? I have to take you back, because if you go to the Huntington View Facebook page, before we started doing Be the Media, I started going around town doing videos. Remember all that?
Mm-hmm.
Very first one I did was called Home Rule Law. It's the very first video. Go to Huntington View, go to the first video. I grabbed my phone and I went down, because they were going to take away the municipal parking lot by the Huntington train station. And I had happened to been at the hearing where they had discussed that the municipal lot was going to be the grievance and the parking variance for what they needed to begin with. Now they're adding more apartments on the sly, from what I'm understanding from Matt. So, and now there's going to be more children, whereas before it was supposed to be none, because everybody was supposed to be living in a shoebox. And now Matt also pointed out the artist lofts. Oh, I wish I could download my brain to everybody. The municipal parking lot at Huntington train station that they used for a parking variance for the apartments across the street that aren't done. There's 2 more buildings going up. They're not done yet. 2 meetings ago, we gave them the land. You remember that? We gave them the land for Renaissance. We just gave them the land. So they used the municipal parking lot to justify the parking variance for the apartments. They're going to be building artist lots on the municipal parking lot that they just used for a parking variance. But in addition, they've added now more people or apartments somehow when they sharpened their pencil after the project was approved, after we gave them the land. And to make matters worse, they're getting a tax abatement. They're getting a tax abatement.
Right.
Matt has every right to be pissed. Our school district is just getting screwed. That's the bottom line. Okay.
Right. And that tax abatement, if I'm not correct, it said that the developers are going to be saving over a course of time millions of dollars, or well over $1 million. How dare they?
The developers are. Who makes up the difference?
That's ridiculous.
Well,
that's the reason I let that go the whole time, because I felt that what Matt said, even though I didn't agree with some of his counters, the one thing I didn't agree with is you're going to say that, you know, she's the president, but you didn't say he was the vice president. So I felt that that was being withheld. Sorry, Matt. But
most recent letterhead, he was the president.
I know, but the other thing is, he said they withdrew their support. We pointed out the letters of support are still on the website. But not only that, the statement that they came out didn't say they were against it. It said they were neutral, and then went off to bullet point the reasons why it was a viable idea. So we're still running along the lines of being deceitful. Hey, I'm going to be honest about this, but I'm still going to, do a half truth is still a lie, guys.
Yeah.
They're just using their words to try to appease people. I don't particularly care for, you can't tell people how many kids to have or say that it's the people who are buying the houses for. If you agree to whatever it is you agreed to, and then the developer then went ahead and changed it, and it said it was overwhelming support, somebody should have been on top of it like it was for the Villadome and say, where are these overwhelming support? But you can't start a sentence with, we don't need any more children. How dare you tell anyone how many children they can and can't have? You might not think it's feasible to have a child in a studio, a bedroom, or one bedroom apartment. That doesn't mean everyone feels the same way. And you can't speak for everyone. That will turn people off right then and there, because it surely turned me off. You can't interject your own personal feelings for what you think is right is wrong, because that turns people off. Now, again, these people, for me, I have a problem if you were so on top of the situation, okay? And this is for elected officials as well, because Gene said he was on it. Who was watching step by step? If you can see with the Villadome, they said you didn't have this, everybody's up on it. You said you had X, Y, and Z. You're lying. Who was doing it for that particular project? Because somebody had to be micromanaging somewhere. So
yeah, where's the oversight? You approve it and then that's it? Now they're adding on people?
Well, whose fault is that though? You can't fault the people that are going to purchase it or whatever the case may be. That's between your elected officials, your developers, and your civics who claim to be so engaged should have been on top of it, just like they are with this Villadome, if it was that much of a concern. Which obviously it was not, because not only was the project approved, we see the buildings now. So, I mean, people need to stop with all the extra stuff. Now, with this other stuff, I don't think people really have a complete understanding of what they're trying to do. Because remember, Jenny, you had to physically take me over there because I thought you were crazy. Because
we're going to go back. We're totally going back. I mean, most people don't understand, but you know what? I have a video.
You need to show it. So
no,
people can see.
You mean a visual? So let this young lady who actually makes everybody understand what the C6 zoning is with 2 floors of apartments, because she spoke tonight. Let her explain it, and I'll go find the photo of what Source the Station wants to do. Is that fair?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right. So, because that one's already set up, and you know how I get distracted so easily. Okay.
Oh yeah, she was good too.
I'm here today to give a brief history lesson to the members of the board, particularly the newer ones, everyone in this room, and the viewing audience. From 1934 to 2006, no commercial building in C6 zoning in this town had the right to add new apartments above retail space. There was one exception in 1997, which allowed a tropical fish store owner to live above his precious fish. That occupancy was clearly supplementary and subordinate to the permitted retail space. However, in 2006, the town board created a resolution that specifically allowed virtually any business to build 2 stories of apartments with no limits on the number of apartments, no limits.
Oh my God.
That was a monumental error made with a callous disregard of the future of this town and common sense. Perhaps most egregious, though, is that the decision made by that board was done without legitimate seeker review or an honest environmental assessment. To blithely plunge the town into such a fundamental change in its zoning laws without concern or long-term planning for the impact on our infrastructure, schools, the money for those schools, traffic, parking, the harbor, and of course, the sewage treatment plant, was stunningly irresponsible. It took no time at all for developers and builders to seize on this bonanza, and the horrifying results are evident for all to see. Apartment buildings are going up everywhere, and there are many more in the pipeline. We are rapidly becoming Queens without the public transportation, supporting infrastructure, unthreatened water supply, or the industrial grade sewage treatment. People in this town are very angry and becoming very aware. That's why you were elected, Supernatural Lupinacci. People like me, a lifelong Democrat, put you in office
Bingo.
for your campaign spoke specifically to these concerns. We hope that in order to get elected, you are not simply playing on the fears and anxieties of the residents, like these good people of Elwood who oppose the Vietnam Mall. We must have a resolution for a public hearing to rescind this horrible resolution of C6 zoning law number 15, 2006. We cannot move in a new direction if the wrongs of the past are not righted and replaced with legislation that is rooted in transparency, honesty, and integrity. Thank you.
So she's mostly referring to the village.
Yeah, I started clapping. I'm not at the meeting.
She was amazing.
Yeah, she was good. She broke it down. And she broke it down. I appreciated it. And it allowed me to have a better understanding, because I was saying, what? But she's right. If there's no limit, they could do what they want to do.
Well, it's just like how they were talking about in the DEIS for Villadome, that they used the oak tree housing comp as a reason why these people needed a place to shop. We fought like animals against Source Station till nobody just wanted to fight anymore. And here they are, the master developers. And the one thing we said, we don't want apartments. And that's the first building to go up, was commercial on the bottom with 2 floors of apartments. But as long as you do it within a certain, that's why I call them shoeboxes, certain amount of square feet, you can add as many apartments into that as you want.
Yeah. That's what she said. That's incredible.
And that's what
she also made a good point.
But Huntington Station became the precedence for doing it now. The village is going bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was allowed. But she made an excellent point. We're turning it into Queens without the infrastructure, without the proper sewage, without the water being infiltrated. She hit heavy points. So if you want to make it like Queens, or you want to make it like the city, then you need to subsidize all the things that the city has to offer. I don't think anyone has ever put that out there like that. They just talk about.
We need a subway now. A subway with stops in each town.
We need a subway. We need sewage, proper sewage. We need to get our water done, a bit much better. We need to, all these things would have to take place if they wanted to maintain the way that they're building like they are right now.
Why is it the people's responsibility to bring all of this stuff to head? Why is it the people's responsibility to say you're poisoning our water? Why is it the people's responsibility to say all of this stuff? I don't understand. These people that are destroying our town know exactly what they're doing, and they are taking vacation after vacation with that, and they're putting all of that on us. So why do we all have to live here? Say, you're
going to pay more. You're going to keep paying more. The town of Huntington stopped requiring a permit to install cesspools, I think, in 2014. Think about this. They're talking about Clean Water Acts. They're talking about they stopped requiring a very simple $50 permit. And now they're blaming the cesspools for leaching into the aquifers and destroying our water. Why can't you send an inspector down? Because they have poor planning on their part and they don't have enough inspectors. So instead of hiring more inspectors that they have out on all these commercial jobs that they put in, they go ahead and they say, well, we don't need a permit. It's going to cost us, more, which is insane. Now you can put anything in there. I could bury a couple dead bodies down there and nobody be checking. I didn't say that. Did I just? I said really need.
Yes, you need that one.
Okay. We are running really quickly here, and we've stayed on one. I want to make sure. Speaking of high taxes. Do you want to know how everybody's going to be paying $500 more a year in taxes?
Of course we do.
Do you? Oh, scary stuff. LIPA. LIPA, in fact, is going on tonight. There's a meeting over at Northport High School about the LIPA situation.
Oh my God.
Did you notice that Mr. Cook withdrew a resolution this evening?
Yes.
So I read it, and it was a little confusing for a lot of people. It was about BTUs, and if you expel over a certain amount of BTUs, that you're going to be fined over a certain amount of usage. And it was you get fined 0.005 cents after 50 million BTUs of use. Now, I don't know how many BTUs a year do you think you use in your house?
I don't know.
BTUs.
I don't have.
Well,
I don't have a clue.
I don't think you're ever going to use 50 million. You're going to use somewhere in the hundreds, if that. Okay, like a month, I think. I don't know. I have to check. Now I sound stupid. But either way, when you're talking about numbers that are in the millions, I have to go double check that. But from how I was made to understand it, is this really only is going to apply to commercial development. Okay, so LIPA uses 1 trillion BTUs per year. And the fine is 0.005 cents after 50 million BTUs a year. So we're going to do the math. We're going to do 1 trillion minus 50 million, because that's the fine, right? Times 0.005. And the math means, so LIPA would have to pay every year $4,999,750,000 a year under this resolution that was polled tonight.
What?
And
Oh
right now, the tax liability, right? So that's billion. And the tax liability that we're being sued for right now, without this resolution, is 70 million. So right now, LIPA is going to charge us. So that $70 million is going to cost us $500 per household. Now, why is this important? The LIPA plant is in Northport, and the school in Northport has been getting a huge reduction in their school taxes by living next to this plant. And they reassessed the property and decided that the town had been overassessing them. And so they're suing our town. And this has been going on since well before the election. We've been hearing about it. In fact, I have old information. If you want, we probably need to do a whole show on LIPA and sewage, but we'll get back to that. So the tax liability they're suing us for is $700 million. It's going to cost us $500 per house. Northport is going to get hit worse. The $500 per house applies to every single house in the town of Huntington. Northport benefited. We didn't. Okay, so understand that. Their taxes just in Northport are going to go up anywhere from 30 to 40% on top of the $500. So it's probably better to put this resolution in and get our town $4 billion than have to get sued and pay the $70 million, which is going to fall on the backs of taxpayers. Bottom line, just so you know, 50 years ago, they shut down Shoreham, the Shoreham facility, 50 years ago, and we are still paying for it under our LIPA surcharges.
That's really hard to
That was a lot to take in.
It really
my God,
was.
I'm going to go make a cocktail. I'll be right back. It was too much for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I'll do it after we're done. I'm just kidding. That was a lot.
It really is. That really is. That's just, it's time to move.
Too many
Holy
figures.
crap.
Too much math.
Too much stuff in the million and trillion and jazillion. I don't know. What you
You know how hard that was sitting on the calculator to go 0, 0, 0, just to bring the numbers tonight. Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Billion, million, 100,000. Oh my God.
What was it? $9 billion. How does he do it? Ha 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 ha. Something like that.
That should be criminal, but we'll all be punished and they'll all get away with it. What else is?
And the fact, why do we have to pay for it if we didn't benefit from it? I don't understand that part. That sounds like a pretty awful deal, if you ask me.
Yeah.
We all need to go solar and stick that bill right through LIPA.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, we don't even have LIPA anymore. We have PSE&G now. So.
Oh yeah, well, same. Another shell game, just different name. It's like when a bar gets busted for having an underage drinker and they just hire their cousin to get the license under.
I can't with you. I just
come on, it happens. You know what happens.
I can't.
No
with
different. I
you.
changed my name. Oh my God, I change my name all the time. No, well, it's been a while. Yeah.
God, help her, please. Anybody. Help us. Help her.
The petition for the Villa Dome, I checked tonight. It was so funny. I went to go write this down on the Villa Dome. I'm going to go, if I could, I'll probably pull it up. It was at 6,410. And I went to go write it down. It goes 11, 12, 14. And I'm like, we're signing it. As I've tried, 6,419 was what the total was before we came on air. I don't know where it's at now because I haven't really checked.
So let me ask you this question. And I've
yes.
asked this question before, and I never, ever got an answer. I don't anticipate I will ever get an answer. When you guys were opposed, and I say you guys, I'm not lumping everyone together. I wasn't around for the Avalon. I just know the history of it. When you guys were opposed to the Avalon, you did all the things that you were supposed to do. You got your signatures, you put up your things, you let the town know you weren't for it, yada, yada, yada. It was good. But it still was built, despite the backlash from the community. Seasons of Elwood, I was there. I know the legwork. I know the people who signed it. I know that was factual. I know they did not want it. That was still built. Now we have the Villa Dome that's supposed to support the Seasons of Elwood that nobody wanted, but now we need a shopping center, and we have all these signatures. We have all this backlash. Do you really believe that it won't be built? And then I heard repeatedly, which annoyed me today, oh, I am a starch Democrat and I voted Republican just for the fact that you promised X, Y, and Z. You didn't question him when he started to when he wouldn't release the resumes. You didn't question him when it was brought up to him about the fake civics. But now, and there was something else you didn't question him for, but now you want to question him for the Villa Dome. But now you want him to take you seriously, although you've already allowed all these other things to slide. People really need to wake up and understand what's going on.
Yeah, but Villa Dome's different. It's involved a whole new group of people that maybe not were typically involved. They're learning this stuff that we already know. So we have to give them, we have to tell them, like, we have to. They don't
had the outrage. You had the outrage.
Think about when you first got involved, right? You didn't know until somebody came.
By the time I got with the Seasons, I knew, and it was an outrage. And I went to some of those backdoor meetings. I witnessed them. And it was an outrage of people, and it still went through. So I can't believe that Villa Dome is going to be just this whole new project, because now you want to build a place for people that you didn't even want to have to be there in the first place. I can't believe it, because now what you've shown me is that people will come out and make a big stink, sure, and do this and do that, but they'll dangle a little carrot in their face and they'll take it, and then the project still gets done. So,
and that's when you have to get on the CBA and make sure once the project's, it's over and stuff, you have to get on the CBA board to make sure that you are now there to negotiate the benefits from the developer. You can't just be mad that the project's going in. You have to get on the board. And the trick that they did with us is they started cycling us out one by one. It started as all citizens, and then they replaced us. But what I did want to say is with Avalon, I'm not saying this is bad. I love that Villa Dome's doing the online petition. The 5,500 signatures we got for Avalon, we got in person, every single one. I was so proud. We walked every single petition, everyone. Okay.
But that's even worse.
And you know what?
Actual people. That's worse to me. You actually did the legwork. You got so that means 5,000 living people breathing, not some fictitious account that somebody may have and created 10 just to get the support. You actually walked the street. You showed them that you gave
talk to every one of them. Talk to every became friends with them, had relationships with them. But let me tell you what happened after it went in 6 years. We voted every single person out that voted for it except for one, Mark Cuthbertson. And he's the last.
Frank out. Frank left.
Oh, okay. You're right. Darn it. Give me credit.
He's the only person I voted out.
You're right. But he was here for 30 years. There was a point where we were like,
anybody out.
You're right. We didn't. No, we did. Yes, we did. We voted out Glenda Jackson. We got her out.
She was appointed, so she just didn't. She didn't get this.
But she had already been reelected after that. But we got her out of office. Susan, she did move on. I think she saw what was coming.
But she left.
You're right. Frank retired. You're right. Frank retired. I'm wrong. You're right. I'm wrong. But you know what? There's one left. That's the point. There's one left.
And y'all keep thinking that one left. That man gets appointed every single time, despite his track record. So something is not adding up.
Because the Democrats are a
Not
machine and they know what they're doing. That's why.
That's true.
You just ruined my appetite. I was going to eat my dinner after this show, but time you mentioned that man's name.
Well, Lisa, since we only have about 9 minutes left, do you want to let us know some of the events that are coming up this? Well, actually, Dana, you need to start because the first event coming up is on May 3rd, and that's your puppy. Tell us all about that.
Mine is not on May 3rd. It is actually going to be on you guys are on the May 3rd. Mine is actually on, I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
No, the NAACP is hosting both School District 3 and School District 13 Meet the Candidates Night at South Huntington Library on May 3rd. That's what I put.
That's okay. That should not be, because the NAACP is not hosting it.
Oh, no, you know what? That's the Meet the Candidates Night for my school district. I'm so sorry.
So okay, you guys ours, the NAACP, is at the South Huntington Library on May 10th.
The next week.
Yeah, we are hosting and we are moderating that one.
Okay,
the one on the 3rd is for your district. You know what I mean.
Okay, all right. As long as we get that straight, I don't want to confuse anybody more than I'm confused, because I'm confusing enough as it is.
No, it was some confusion, but it was cleared up. The NAACP isn't. We have no connection with the one on the 3rd. We're not hosting it. We're not moderating. We're not doing anything with it. There was some confusion, but it was cleared up because it wasn't voted on. No one knew anything about it, but it was cleared up. So we don't have any affiliation with. You may have people in the audience that are there that are part of the NAACP, but we're not hosting it or moderating it. So ours is on the 10th at South Huntington Public Library, 7 to 9, and we are doing both District 3, which is Huntington, and District 13, which is South Huntington. So that's what we have coming up. Hope to see you guys there.
Lisa, what have you got?
I can't find the date, but the South Huntington Station Civics Group, I'm going to say it's going to be in the next 2 Wednesdays at the library.
I thought it was the 9th.
I can't find it. Can you see it?
Yeah, I think it's the 9th.
I'm on my phone, so I can't look at it.
Yeah, I think it's the 9th. I'm just going to double check right quick, but I'm almost positive because I got the information from Sam.
Okay. If not, you can also find that on that's one of the newest civic groups. They seem to be operating very well, and they do provide a nice venue for people. That is the South Huntington Station Civic Group, and you can find them on Facebook.
Right. We also have the Tulip Fest coming up on May 6th. That's going to be very exciting. I happen to love tulips very much.
It's so big.
I'm sorry, guys. It's actually May 16th. At 7 p.m. South Huntington Public Library.
Thank you for looking that up for me. I didn't have access to it. I thought it was further on. Thank you.
And then, of course, the town board on May 17th, that meeting has been moved. There is no town board meeting at Town Hall on May 15th. It's been moved to the Elwood Middle School on May 17th. And the court reporter, she asked me to let everybody know, so please spread the word. The court reporter asked that everyone please bring an extra copy of their speech to give to her, because they already moved the venue, and it just helps her if she needs to correct anything. She asked me because she actually remembered that during Avalon, when we were giving all these speeches, that I always did that, and I thought that was really sweet. But I always knew, like, she may have missed something, and she wanted to go back and correct it before she handed it in.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that,
something else we should mention.
Yes. We got to show her photo.
Find out more information, maybe at the civic group or maybe the next police meeting. But I don't know too much about it because it's been a little vague. But one thing is important: if you are up at the Applebee's, Five Guys area during the week night, the young boy that works at Five Guys was attacked and beaten by what the word is. I'll quote 10. I'm going to call them 10 thugs. It was assumed they went to Whitman, but those aren't my words, so I'm not really sure. I don't think it really even matters at this point, but they are, you know, a bunch of young thugs. And they put this boy in a hospital who was treated and released, but nonetheless, he's going to be fine physically. But oh my goodness, I mean, that poor kid must be scarred. I did hear that there were a couple of arrests, that they were very young, minors. But if you're up there, be careful. If you see something, say something. Get these kids off the streets. Unbelievable.
I don't. I do believe it is. I don't know if it's every day, but I do know from the information I receive, it's on the weekend. And here's where you have the problem is if when you want to say, if you see something, say something. Our children are so afraid of these gangs that they don't want to say anything. And
I know.
They are the school only has limited reach to begin with. So you're expecting our children to say these things when they have to get off buses and go home. They have to go to the bathroom in school. There are all type of things that can happen. And I've overheard many children talk recently, teenagers, because of what happened at the Five Guys. But I've also witnessed a pack of individuals go in there and terrorize the entire restaurant. Something needs to be done. And it is serious. And it's unfortunate that our children are here and we're dealing with that because 9 times out of 10, you chose to live out here to avoid things like that. My child is not equipped to handle or doesn't even know how to encounter with a gang member. You know, his biggest decision is, should he wear boat shoes or sneakers? You know, that's what he considers a crisis. So when it comes to dealing with these gangs, he doesn't know what to do. And I don't know how to help him.
Well, you know, on top of that, I just want to end our show with this. We have a young lady missing in Huntington. Her name is Dayanara Ramos. She's 16. She was last seen Friday, April 27th. She was last seen in Wantagh, and she needs her meds. They're asking that the parents be contacted Blanca Ramos, SCOLA. They want her home, of course. I can't imagine what this family is going through without their daughter at home. You know, we talk about the gang issues, and that's one of them. I always still think, you know, those kills me. I can't.
Yeah, no, it's very sad.
It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting when I hear she needs her meds. That just it hurts a little bit more to me because they're a lot more vulnerable. And I would, for all our people who watch this show, I would like for you, and if you live in the Huntington area, even if you don't live in the Huntington area, go look up PBS Frontline. I was privy to this whole document that was done, and it will open your eyes and give you a better insight, at least for people like me who didn't even know these things existed, as to what our children are actually facing. So maybe we can have a little more people come out, because it was an eye-opener. I will warn you now, it is gory in the beginning, but it's a must-see so you can understand and have a better feeling of what exactly is taking place. And guess what? Huntington High School is right on there. And they have it. And they have all the places right there going towards the village where they point out where all these little pockets of gang members are. To me, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't even think these things were that serious. But when you see it, it'll give you a different perspective. So it's on Frontline, and it's PBS, and it's a documentary about gangs in Long Island. And Huntington, Brentwood, and Central Islip are the three ringleaders. And that's what prompted Jeff Sessions to come here and Trump after those two girls were hacked up, and it was awful. It was awful.
The girls from Brentwood. That night they did a clean sweep in Huntington Station, and I gotta say it's been really, really quiet for a while. But I hope that this young lady Dayanara is returned safely. I hope she's just a runaway. I hope that she didn't fall prey to the gangs, and praying for her and her family, especially her family.
Yeah,
Yes.
and her too. She needs her meds.
Right.
Very disheartening. Very disheartening.
All great points, and I appreciate it. But all right, so ladies, we have reached our 10 o'clock.
How does it go so fast?
I don't know.
Yes, we
After
have
every
more
show.
things
It really
to say.
And
does.
with no commercials. Oh, by the way, I guess now's really a good time to remind everybody, with all this talk of civics and legality, we don't monetize our YouTube videos. We don't take any money. We're volunteers. Sometimes we're a little late. Maybe we have something going on at home, or somebody's running a little late. But we are a citizen-driven opinion show on local issues in Huntington, and we are not funded in any way. And we're not asking for your money. We just want you to get the same information that we've been given. So I think it's a good time just to let everybody know that when you view this on YouTube, you're not giving us any money that YouTube would for advertising. In fact, you'll notice no advertising comes up on our show. And we wouldn't want to be associated with it anyways. The only time we'll ever bring you advertising locally is when we're doing it for free. We go around to some of our favorite stores or on some adventures downtown, and we'll give you little clips of places, but we don't take any, we don't have a bank account. We're not a corporation. We're not a nonprofit. We're just Jenny Lee, Dana, and Lisa. And I hope everyone enjoyed tonight's Huntington View. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Bye, guys.